It was back in March when we heard the news the BNP Paribas Open would be postponed, then canceled because of the pandemic. But one thing hasn't been affected, honoring some of the most deserving students in the Valley with scholarships. Here this morning is the CEO of the BNP Paribas, Jean-Yves Fillon. It's so good to have you with us. I am so glad that we are able to connect, even if it's virtually. Give us a little bit of history about these scholarships and why you wanted to continue even though this past year was postponed.
Maybe a bit of background about tennis, because this is really how it all started, right? BNP Paribas has been very involved in tennis since quite a long time ago, 45 years ago, 1973. It all started with the French Open. I'm mentioning this because it's a little bit the same storyline with Indian Wells and the BNP Paribas Open. We really stepped in back in 2009 when the tournament was really sponsorless. And since, with the community, with the tournament team, with the staff, with Mr. Ellison, we've made this tournament one of the most proeminent tournaments in the world of tennis. And it's really, a few years ago, back in 2016, that being so connected to the community, we decided to try to be more impactful and meaningful. And this is when the scholarship program started.
And so tell me, how were the students selected?
They have to play tennis. This is the starting point, because it's a scholarship to go to college. They have to be in their senior year. And they have to show a really interest in community, in their community, and they have to have a plan for themselves, a plan for their education. And if they fit all these criteria, they have to write an essay, which is highlighting pretty much everything I just listed. In 2016, we started with 2 scholarships. 2 years ago, including this year, we expanded it to 4, which means today we have actually granted 14 scholarships for these young men and women in their senior year to go to college. It's a pretty significant contribution of $15,000, which basically pay for their first year in college.
Let's talk about the individuals who are the recipients of the award this year. Let's start off with
Sure.
Ryan.
On the sports side, is good at tennis, but is so involved in other sports, in basketball, for instance, and is kind of an all-around dedicated athlete. On the academic side, what is very, I would say, moving regarding Ryan, he wants to be a surgeon, and is planning on attending medical school. And you will see, by the way, in each of these kids, they all have an interest in medical health, which is already an interesting evidence of how much they want to contribute to the people, and including to their community.
And our next one recipient is Reese Buchanan.
Well, Reese has kind of similar characteristics. He's a tennis player, has been playing with the varsity team for quite a while, but he's very good at soccer. I had a conversation with him last week, highlighting the similarities between soccer and tennis, reading the ball trajectory, footwork, very energetic, but he's good at cross country. And same concept, he wants to become not a surgeon, but a biomedical engineer. Same thing, very focused on the community, on his community as well.
Our next one is Lillian Barranco Ramirez. Tell us about her.
Lillian, who will be attending Cal State Long Beach, same concept. These 4 young men and women are very committed to athleticism. And not only she's been participating in varsity tennis, but she's a soccer player as well. And what's interesting with Lillian, she actually is very involved already supporting other sports. Lillian is planning on becoming a doctor. And she's her first step with really looking into graduating with a bachelor degree in biology before attending medical school, which is usual path.
And we have Amuna Daffin. Tell me about her.
Well, Imuna is planning on attending the College of the Desert, which is a great school as well. She's been a long-time player with the varsity team of the Palm Springs High School. And I think she's a shining example of a hardworking and committed student athlete. And she's very committed to continue to play tennis at a quite competitive level. And she's already very involved and very committed to becoming a nurse. I think it's so moving to see these four young men and women having this common thread. And when you speak with them, it's not only caring about people, but it's giving back to the community they've grown up with. I look forward to seeing them in person next time I'm on the West Coast.
And that should be probably March 8th?
Looking forward to it. We're all organized to obviously resume life the way we believe it should be. Obviously, just to be very realistic, there is one factor we will all have to take into account is how, the pandemic, the situation evolves, but very committed to go back to normal life. And by the way, Joe, meet you face to face in person as well. I look forward to that as well.
Well, I'm excited about that as well, and we will look forward to that because the BNP Paribas is, of course, one of the premier events here in the Valley. I know the students are thrilled, and I know their parents are thrilled, and the schools that they are going to attend, I'm sure, are going to be as welcoming as you have been to them. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
And stay right there. We'll be right back.